Week 18 is here. Yes, that's right, you guys. We're talking about the playoffs. The playoffs are just 1 week away. It's going to be a great show. Here we go. Week 18 show. It's an NFL weekly show here on Inside the Zone with Mateo. Glad you guys are here. Roll the intro and we will get into it. Let's go.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
That is right, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Inside the Zone with Mateo. It is week 18 of the NFL, December 31st. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody out there. This is the last day. The last day of 2025. 2026 is tomorrow, and it's our time. It is time for our NFL weekly show here on Inside the Zone with Mateo, where, we do basically that. We during the NFL season, 1 day a week, we dedicate it all to the NFL because the NFL is probably the most watched, most liked sport in America. So we dedicate 1 day a week to the NFL and just talk all things NFL for about an hour and 15 more or less, depending on the week here. But it's going to be a fun episode today. We keep the same pattern. So with that, to see the same pattern of the shows, let's go to Mateo's show batting order, which we use every single episode. Almost every single episode here on the podcast. So if you would like to sponsor this segment, let me know. Send me a DM on X. You can send me an email, or you can use one of the Google forms in the description of my YouTube channel. But I appreciate you guys watching for sure. Mateo's show batting order is the same batting order for every single NFL episode. We take a look at 5 things I learned from last week of the NFL, one of them being a playoff picture update. Then we'll hold myself accountable for the picks I made from the previous week. So in this instance, it's week 17. And then I will make my week 18 picks. And then as we wrap up the show, I will give you guys my week 18 power rankings. And there's some interesting shakeups here, especially towards the bottom of the power rankings, because a lot of mediocre teams beat some interesting teams this week. And so we'll break that down coming up in the power rankings. But without further ado, let's just get into what the heck we learned from week 17 of the NFL. These are 5 things I learned from the week 17 of the NFL. Excuse me, I'm kind of mumbling a little bit. I got to lock in. And as I said, basically from I believe week 12 or so on, one of the things I learned is always like a playoff picture update of talking about who I think is actually in the playoffs and stuff. So that is these teams are making the playoffs. Normally we have a slide. And I completely forgot to change all these slides from saying week 16 to week 17. Darn it. Man, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. But hey, it's fine. We're going to lock in here. I'm also streaming the Timberwolves game today. If you happen to watch this before the Timberwolves game at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, go ahead and hop on over there. I'm going to be streaming that game at some point, live play-by-play and reaction. But these teams are making the playoffs. We don't have the fancy slide this week. We're literally just going over to NFL.com, basically. They're going to tell you who's clinched so far and then some clinching scenarios here. So in the AFC, the Denver Broncos have clinched a playoff spot, and they have clinched the AFC West. The New England Patriots have clinched a playoff spot and the AFC East title. And then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have clinched a playoff spot. They're still trying to fight for the division against the Houston Texans this week, which will be very interesting to see who comes on top of there because both teams play the other teams in their division, so they don't even play each other. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The Buffalo Bills have clinched a playoff spot. They're going to be a wild card spot because the Patriots already won the AFC East. The Texans, as I mentioned, clinched a playoff spot. They're fighting for the Jaguars. I believe if the Texans win and the Jaguars lose, the Texans win the division. But if the Jaguars win, they win the division. And then, as we know, the LA Chargers clinched a playoff spot as well, sitting at 11-5, and they play the Denver Broncos this week. And that if the Chargers would have beaten the Houston Texans, I'm pretty sure this game would have been for the division. But it is indeed not because they lost to the Houston Texans. And, I kind of lost all the trust. I had very little trust of the Chargers and Justin Herbert. And, I like Jim Harbaugh, but I still don't like Herbert. I don't trust him as much. I don't know. There's something weird about the Chargers that I just don't trust in the playoffs. And, that Houston Texans game just kind of solidified everything that I was thinking already. But the Denver Broncos can clinch the AFC 1 seed with a first round bye and home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs if they win. But also, if the Patriots were to lose, the Jaguars to lose, and they were to lose. So Denver most likely going to get that number 1 seed probably. I mean, I see them winning, but I also don't know if they're going to start all of their players. So we will see. It's going to be. We'll see how much they value that 1 seed. I think it's a valuable spot to be in, especially in this AFC, which is not the strongest conference right now. So I'm saying like, hey, maybe once the Broncos go to 14-3, nobody can really win at Mile High Stadium in Denver. So I'm like, that could be a very good home field advantage, especially up in the mountains. So I'm really intrigued to see if Denver wins on Sunday, and I'm pretty sure they should. They should when they got the 425 start. I just don't. I don't see it. I think the Chargers are going to end up 6 or 7 spot in the wild card. I think the Bills will probably, maybe not if they. I don't know. We'll see. But I think the Broncos probably will cover this game and get the 1 seed, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'll talk more about that in the game pick section. But then we move over to the New England Patriots, and they can clinch the number 1 seed with a win by them or a Denver loss. So if Denver loses and the Patriots win, they get the number 1 seed. So it's going to most likely be one of those two teams, because then I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars can clinch the 1 seed if they win, but then Denver and New England both have to lose. But then they also can clinch the division with a win, and or if they lose and the Houston Texans lose. So it's pretty easy to figure out what's going on there. Houston can only clinch the AFC South here with a win and a Jaguars loss. The Baltimore Ravens against the Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday Night Football. If Baltimore wins, they win the division. If Steelers win, they are. If they win, they're in the they win the division and they're in the playoffs. So the winner wins the division, makes the playoffs. The loser loses and misses the playoffs. Going to be some interesting storylines going around there. John Harbaugh versus Mike Tomlin, two coaches that have been in the league for so long. You got Lamar Jackson possibly going to return from his injury. You got Aaron Rodgers, but no DK Metcalf. We're going to talk about this matchup a little bit more later on in the show. But yeah, Pittsburgh Ravens going to be a very interesting game. It's one of the first couple of games where it's the winner wins the division. It's going to be very interesting to see how those go. But that's it for the AFC. And now let's move over to the NFC, where you have the Seahawks have clinched a playoff spot. The 49ers have clinched a playoff spot. The Bears have clinched the NFC North. The Rams are going to be a wild card team, I'm pretty sure, because they did lose to the Falcons, which is absolutely shocking. Eagles clinched the NFC East, and then the Packers clinched a playoff spot. The only spot open is that NFC South spot between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. But here's the fascinating storyline. My San Francisco 49ers, I wouldn't say my San Francisco 49ers, but I really like Brock Purdy. I really like the Niners overall. Second to the Vikings. I think the 49ers are a really fun team. I like Kyle Shanahan. I respect him a lot. I like Christian McCaffrey. I like Brock Purdy. There's just a lot of likable dudes on that team. And they're kind of a bit of the understory, losing their top 2 defensive players, Bosa and Warner, in the early season. And we just thought, oh, their defense is going to be a mess. But their defense has stepped up, especially on that last drive against the Chicago Bears on Sunday night. But they're going to be playing Saturday night, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, against the Seattle Seahawks at home. And they can clinch the NFC West and the 1 seed if they win. But also the same thing. If Seattle wins over the Niners, they get the 1 seed. They get the first round bye. They get home field advantage. They get the division. So tons of excitement going to be coming here Saturday night in San Francisco. And yes, of course, I will be streaming that game. Well, actually, I don't know if I'll be streaming that game. Maybe I'll stream a little bit of the game. I don't know if I'm going to do the full game because I can't do too many streams here with just the schedule I'm here. But maybe if you guys want a stream for the Seahawks and 49ers game in that you guys will watch, let me know in the comments down below. And I might just do that. But yeah, then we talk about Carolina. The only team, these are the two teams that have not. These are the two teams that have not clinched a playoff spot, and only one of them will. Carolina wins the division if they win. But if they lose, they can still clinch the division because Atlanta beat the Rams. If Atlanta wins one more time, they are going to end up with a 2nd seed, putting Tampa all the way down to the 3rd spot. and Carolina could still win the division at 8-9 if they were to lose against Tampa Bay. So it's not necessarily all, Tampa can still beat the Panthers, but then if the Atlanta Falcons somehow, some way beat the Saints, which is very easily done, if the Atlanta Falcons beat the Saints, and even if the Buccaneers beat the Panthers will still win the division and clinch a playoff spot, and then the other team will be eliminated. So yeah, Tampa Bay needs to win, but also they need Atlanta to lose. So right now, the money, if I were to bet, I don't bet, but if I were to bet, I would probably be betting on the Carolina Panthers. So the playoffs are almost here, and you won't want to miss a moment. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. But so there's a rundown of kind of the playoff picture here. Here's the standings. If you like the standings better, here's Denver. Denver sitting at 13-3. So are the New England Patriots. Both have clinched their division. They're fighting for the 1 seed. Technically, if they both lose and Jaguars win, they can get the 1 seed at 13-4. Absolutely crazy. The Jaguars have been absolutely so fun to watch. Steelers right now are in the lead for the division, but obviously it's going to come down to Sunday night. The Texans, the Chargers, the Bills are your wild card teams. Everybody else is eliminated except the Ravens, who are still trying to win that division. But, the playoff picture is almost set here. And if things were to stay semi the same, you're going to be seeing a Patriots-Bills first-round matchup, a Chargers-Jaguars, and then a Texans versus the Ravens or the Steelers first-round matchup in the AFC. A lot of those games jump out to me a lot, especially the Bills and Patriots. We got Josh Allen versus Drake May. Josh Allen's going to have none of those major quarterbacks in the playoffs. So can he, maybe, just maybe, take that next step, run the table, and make it to the Super Bowl? I think this is obviously the Bills' easiest chance to the Super Bowl in recent years. No Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson still might make it, but I don't trust the Ravens as much as I used to. I think whoever wins that AFC North might just be a first round exit, especially if you have to play the Texans. I like the Texans a lot. Their defense is good. CJ Stroud's been balling, and other Nico Collins. That team's scary, and I think they'll probably beat whoever wins the AFC North. But I could be shocked, and there could be upsets. But for Josh Allen, this could be interesting. But playing a division game against the Patriots, where we saw them have some great regular season games, it would be interesting to see. And then over on the NFC side of things, you got obviously the Seahawks, the Bears, the Eagles, the Panthers as your division winners right now. But if the 49ers were to win, they would become the division winner. I think the Rams are at 11-5. So even if they were to win, they can't because one team's going to either have 14 wins, one team's going to either have 13 wins. So the Rams are going to be stuck as a wildcard team. And people were saying oh, we love the Rams, and why are you not sold on the Rams? And I'm saying right there, look, you lose to the Falcons, and I'm saying, bro, I thought they were a little fraudulent. They could for sure still do some stuff in the playoffs. I could see them, advancing to the Super Bowl in a way, because the NFC, this is a weird season, you guys. It's an unpredictable season, as we like to say around here. So upsets happen for sure. But right now, the Rams are probably the third or fourth best team in the NFC, according, at least from my opinion here. I think I have the Seahawks. I think I have the Niners. I think I have the Eagles. And I think I might just have the Bears over the Rams. Maybe I have the Rams over the Seahawks just because I don't trust Sam Darnold. But I think the Packers are pretty much a first-round exit, and I think the Rams could be a first-round exit. Right now, they would be set to play the Eagles. I just think the Eagles win that game, but that would be an insane matchup. Then, whoever wins the NFC West is going to have a bye. And then the other team's gonna have to go on the road and play the Panthers or the Buccaneers. So obviously, I think that's that's almost as good as a bye. But we thought that with the Vikings playing the Rams last year, and yeah, we saw what happened with Sam Darnold. So that is why I don't trust Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. I don't trust him in the big games. There's maybe a hint of who I'm picking for Saturday night. But yeah, we got the Packers probably playing the Bears. That's going to be insane. Rams playing the Eagles. I mean, these playoff matchups are going to be insane for sure in the NFC and in the AFC. But we'll talk more about that next week in our next week's NFL show and our wild card preview show of Inside the Zone with Mateo coming up next Thursday, probably in January. We'll be in January by then. I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, wow, January 8th is when we will do that. That's going to be super fun to watch. But yeah, all right. So there is the first thing I learned this week, a little longer. It's always our little longer part of the show. These teams are making the playoffs. It's just kind of a playoff picture overview. And the second thing I learned from week 17, ignore the 16 because I completely forgot to change that, is this. Boom. The NFL is rigged. Okay, this is more of a speculation. It's not something I learned, but it's speculation. Okay, so hold on. Here is week 18. This is the week 18 slate. This is where I will make my picks. In a couple minutes or so. Look at these matchups that were determined before the season for week 18. Panthers, Buccaneers, Seahawks, 49ers. Right? Those two teams alone. Then you have also Sunday Night Football, Ravens, Steelers, Chargers, Broncos, which if the Chargers would have won last week, that game would have been for the division as well. Lions, Bears, probably in my opinion should have been for the division. These teams are just kind of some other ones are not as good, but those are still 3 games right now for a division. You got to tell me, bro. Come on. And think about it. If JD5 would have been healthy, this game, the Eagles and the Commanders would have been huge for week 18. And so I'm just saying, hey, it's a very short segment here. The NFL might just be rigged. I'm not a firm believer in that. I've heard people say that. I've heard people try to convince me. But I'm just saying, hey. And then we have all the Super Bowl logo conspiracy theories. The NFL just might be rigged. I just thought I'd throw it out there and give you a quick little, very, very 30-second almost segment there for 5 things I learned this week. But here we go. Third thing I learned this week from the NFL is going to be my Vikings rant of the week. Boom! The Vikings would, but 9. What does that mean? Well, this is something I learned. This is something I learned from watching that Christmas Day game against the Detroit Lions, where we had 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, who are a very good team. Obviously, they've been slipping and now are the worst team in the NFC North record-wise. And I'm saying the Vikings would, but 9. What does that mean? Well, I'm saying the Vikings would be in the playoffs, except that we had J.J. McCarthy. If the Vikings would have had a semi-good quarterback, if they would have had a Kirk Cousins type of quarterback, I'm almost 100% sure that the Minnesota Vikings would be in the playoffs right now. That defense under Brian Flores is one of the best defenses in the NFL. And we've known that. We've known that for years. But then we were in games. We beat the Lions twice. We swept the Lions. We are probably going to sweep the Packers because the Packers have legit nothing to play for and they got to rest their starters unless Malik Willis does something crazy. If we would have had even somebody like Malik Willis, I guarantee we would be in the playoffs, or almost guarantee we'd be in the playoffs. But 9, bro. Oh my gosh. We have a number as our quarterback, or at least somebody who thinks he's a number, being our quarterback. He doesn't know how to throw the ball. He always gets injured. And then we have Max Brosmer, who's not much better, but it's what do we expect? He's undrafted. But yeah, I'm just saying, bro, the Vikings, I'm pretty sure they would be in the playoffs. This defense was absolutely insane. I already kind of talked about their defense a lot. I did a post-Christmas episode of recapping the NFL games and the NBA games because we had some crazy NBA games, crazy NFL games on Christmas Day. So go ahead and check that one out if you want more of my opinions on those NFL games and NBA games if you're an NBA fan, because those are out on my channel. It should be, I think it has the thumbnail. I forgot what I had it here. Let me search it up here. Let me just find my channel up here and I'll show you guys which episode that is, just to make it easier for you. And while you're out here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. On our road to 70 plus subscribers, can we hit 70 subscribers by 2026? So in a day, we need 3 subscribers. We're at 67 subscribers. I know you guys are all saying 67. Well, hey, it's 67 subscribers. I'm okay with that. We're trying to grow our channel, trying to get to 100 subscribers before my friend. His channel is linked in my channel as well. But here we go. Don't argue with greatness. That is the Christmas Day NBA and NFL games recap plus my thoughts. So go ahead and check that one out. 22 views only. We can get that up higher. But speaking of views here, and that's why I hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're getting 82 views, 48 views. We're getting a lot of views, but only 67 subscribers. I feel like we can do better. So I'd appreciate it if you would hit that like button and subscribe button. here as I'm trying to grow my channel, trying to become a sports journalist once I get out of college and high school. But I'm closer to college than middle school, by the way. So chill. I know my stuff. But the fourth thing I learned this week from the NFL is this. Boom. DK cost the Steelers a playoff spot. Okay. I've not talked about this game at all, really, and I wanted to save it because I said, why this would be fun to talk about here on the show. I didn't do any special episodes on it because it would be really fun, I think, to talk about here. And you're saying, like, well, I think most of you might know what this means. But DK cost the Steelers the playoff spot. We know what DK Metcalf did. Oh, we know what DK Metcalf did. The Pittsburgh Steelers, coming into week 17, all they had to do was beat Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. And well, what happened? That happened. The Steelers lose by 7 points. They don't even score a single touchdown. They lose to Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. A 4-12 team. A 3-12 team prior to that. They got their fourth win against you. And one of the big reasons I think they lost this game was because when you look at this receiving core, Adam Thielen, sure, whatever. Jonnu Smith, MVS, Scotty Miller, Freiermuth. I like Freiermuth. I'm a big Freiermuth fan. Darnell Washington. Kenneth Gainwell is a running back. You don't really have a wide receiver. You went all in. You traded away George Pickens. And you got DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf has been balling. He was on my fantasy team, on one of my main fantasy teams this year. He's been balling. But because he decided to punch a fan in the stands, a stupid decision by him, he gets suspended for 2 games, which means he misses this game, he misses the next game. He's not going to most likely play. Unless he gets appealed or something, he's most likely not going to play at all on week 18. He could play in the playoffs, but I don't even know if they're going to win now. They have no other receivers. You need DK Metcalf if you want a chance to win. And DK Metcalf pulled himself out of the game because he basically punched a fan. DK Metcalf will be out for 2 games. He was a 2K, it's a 2-game suspension. It's absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, never mind. We got breaking news. The NFL has reduced DK Metcalf's suspension to 1 game. Wow. The NFL so he is eligible. Here it is. Boom. The NFL has reinstated wide receiver DK Metcalf for the Steelers Week 18 game versus the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know if I just was searching this up. I was looking for a suspension card. That was just a couple hours ago. Wait a minute, bro. Is this actually legit? I'm going to look at my fantasy team just because I have him on my fantasy team so I can look quickly at his little player card just to see. My fantasy league's over, but I'm just... because it had been saying suspended. I mean, it still says suspended, but here. Who served the final game of his suspension? It was upheld. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if this is legit. Guys. I don't know. But anyway, despite the point, I don't even know. I think the Ravens have been balling. Especially if the Lamar Jackson comes back and not DK Metcalf. Derrick Henry plays like the way he did last game against the Green Bay Packers. I think it's already gone. And you can still make the same argument even if DK Metcalf plays. This game should have been a win. Against the Browns, should have been a win. And even if you would have had 1 touchdown for DK Metcalf, you would have won this game. Most likely. And I think you would have gotten multiple touchdowns. but you did not have DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf, now you had a free game. It didn't matter what the Ravens did. All you had to do is win, and you win the division and knock out the Ravens. But you don't, because you don't have DK Metcalf out there. So there you go. That is why I say DK cost the Steelers a playoff spot. Now, they could for sure still beat the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. But I don't know what might happen. I don't know. Crazy things might happen on Sunday night. Derrick Henry went crazy. He could go crazy again. Lamar Jackson might be back. You can't count Lamar Jackson out. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. There you go. DK cost the Steelers a playoff spot. And the fifth thing I learned this week is the same thing from week 16 is boom. My Super Bowl pick is looking very good, boys. It is looking very good. All the way back here. Let me find the episode. I'll go back to my channel page here. Where was it? I'm scrolling all the way down because it was like over 2 months ago. I'm pretty sure a month ago, technically. Whatever. Boom, right here. Here's on my right here. This show, weekly NFL show, week 12, power rankings and more. Season 1, episode 36. We're on season 1, episode 53. It will be our last episode, by the way, of season 1. As season 2 will start in 2026. But in this episode, you can go watch it in our week 12. Week 12. It is now week 18. I said that the San Francisco 49ers were going to win the Super Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers are one of my favorite teams to watch, one of my favorite teams to cheer for as well. Brock Purdy, I love that guy. But all they have to do is beat Sam Darnold in a game that counts, which is fairly easy, unless he decides to clutch up and then we give him all the respect that he deserves. They're going to be the 1 seed. Then they will not have to play another road game because, mind you, also, the Super Bowl's in San Francisco. And I've mentioned this before. The Super Bowl logo, if you haven't seen it already, it has the Golden Gate Bridge in the Super Bowl logo. I said this all the way back in week 12, that they said, oh, we're going to try to hide the Super Bowl conspiracy theory by just putting all the colors of the rainbow in the logo. But then they put the Golden Gate Bridge in the Super Bowl logo. And they can say, well, the Super Bowl's in San Francisco. Why can't it mean that the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl in San Francisco? And they're going to win the 1 seed. And, they have one home game here. And then once they get the 1 seed, everybody has to go to San Francisco. They don't have to travel a single game now. They do not have to travel. They'll stay in San Francisco for the next couple months, probably as Super Bowl contenders. But all I'm saying is, hey, upsets happen. It's been a crazy season. It's been a crazy season for sure. But all I'm saying here, my Super Bowl pick, hey, it's looking pretty dang good right now. Obviously, that's not the pick I made at the start of the season, and we will hold myself accountable for that at the end of the season. But right now, since week 12, my Super Bowl pick is looking really good. And that is going to wrap our 5 things we learned from week 17. I'm sorry that I completely sold on all the saying week 16 instead of week 17 on the slide. But y'all know what I mean. Y'all can forgive me, and I appreciate it. Appreciate that you're watching. But we looked at the playoff picture. We looked at, clinching scenarios. Talked very quickly about that the NFL might be rigged. We talked about the Vikings and that they could for sure be in the playoffs if they had a better quarterback than 9. Talked a little bit about DK Metcalf, and we talked about the San Francisco 49ers. Hope you guys enjoyed this segment, and it's time to head to our second segment of the day. Boom, it's time for our accountability from week 17 and our week 18 picks. So it is time to predict the unpredictable. It's going to be my week 18 picks and a recap of how I did last week to hold myself accountable. I went 10-6 last week. Here is week 17. There we go. Here is a overview, an accountability session of how well I did. I still went over 500. We stay at 62% completion percentage on our picks. Unfortunately, the Lions, kind of sold me there. The Raiders sold me there. The Rams sold me there. The Steelers sold me there. I mean, I think if Green Bay was a kind of a toss-up, but overall, I feel like I should have probably gone like 14-2 or 13-3 or something like that. Unfortunately, I have to go 10-6. But it is what it is. We'll make our picks here in a second. And obviously, I also wanted to remind you guys that when you saw here, we went 14-2 in week 1 because I forgot to save my week 1 picks, but I have it on video of me making those picks. I hold myself accountable to that. So you add 14 wins to the win total that they say I have. So they say I'm 145 and 94. Well, you add 14, you add 2 to that, and then you get the thing of here it is where 159 and uh 96, and there you go. You divide it all, you get the percentage. It's 62%, and there you go. So 62% completion percentage. Hopefully we can lock in for the final week of the season. We will still continue to do this. It will still count for the playoff prediction challenge here, but we will do our week 18 picks now. Here we go. Starting off Saturday night, we got the Panthers and the Buccaneers. And low-key, I don't even think it's going to matter what the Falcons do. Give me the Panthers on the road to get the win and get the division. And then I said also, I don't trust Sam Darnold. But I will trust Sam Darnold if he gets this done. If he gets this done and wins the 1 seed against a good team on the road in the 49ers, if he gets this done, I will respect him. I will respect him a lot more. But right now, give me Brock Purdy, give me Christian McCaffrey, give me Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers to win the game, win the NFC West, and win the 1 seed in the NFC. Then in a bunch of games that don't really matter, give me the Vikings over the Packers because I just don't think the Packers are going to play anybody. Give me the Saints. The Saints have low-key been balling recently. I don't care if the Falcons beat the Rams. Give me the Saints with Tyler Shough. Maybe Tyler Shough wins Rookie of the Year, possibly. We'll get into that some other time. Between the Bengals and the Browns, give me Joe Burrow in his maybe final game with the Cincinnati Bengals. With the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, give me the Dallas Cowboys. They'll continue to win meaningless games and ruin their draft stock. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars here against the Tennessee Titans. I think they get this one done over Cam Ward, and it wraps up Cam Ward's rookie season, and then they win that division. Unfortunately, I was kind of cheering for Houston, but I'm going to also take Houston. So, if the Jaguars happen to lose this game and Houston wins, they would win the division. Very interesting to see. Yeah, that's it for the almost meaningless games in the Sunday early slate. It's unfortunate there. But we got our Sunday late slate games where give me the Bills over the Jets here. Give me the Bears over the Lions. And give me the Broncos over the Chargers. Some pretty easy games, in my opinion, to predict. Obviously, I could see the Lions trying to fool the Bears, but I really like the Bears right now as well. In a game that I have no idea who could win this game, the Raiders and the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs in Travis Kelce's maybe final game as a Kansas City Chief, and most likely a final game as a Kansas City Chief. I think they get that win there. The Rams need a win to bounce back after that loss, so give me the Rams over the Cardinals. Give me Drake May over the Miami Dolphins here to may not clinch the 1 seed, but just get a 14-win season out of Drake May. Give me the Eagles over the Washington Commanders. I think even if they were to rest their players, I think they're better than Marcus Mariota and that Commanders team. And then finally on Sunday Night Football, give me the Ravens over the Steelers. I think the Ravens are going to end up pulling this one off. And there you go. There are my Week 18 picks. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, so you never ever miss any of these picks and never ever miss any of our other podcasts. But it is now time. It is time now. We did time to predict the unpredictable, but it's now time for our final segment of our NFL episode, and it is time for our Week 18 power rankings, everybody. Power rankings. And as a reminder, I will put up the power rankings from last week on the right so you guys can compare and contrast. And I actually kind of started the power rankings off screen here, and I just kind of kept the bottom teams in the playoffs here. And note here, as you can see from the Week 17 picks on the right side of your screen, some teams moved in a couple spots here. The bottom 5 are kind of the same, but you see, there's no Vikings now here as mediocre at best because the Minnesota Vikings deserve to move up after that. They beat the Lions twice. They're going to move up to flat out mid. They move up a tier. And you know who also moves up a tier? The Cincinnati Bengals, who unfortunately will not make the playoffs, but they've been balling with Joe Burrow. They've been just killing their opponents. Put them up there as well. And then it's kind of same thing. Got to show some respect to the Falcons. The Falcons beat the Rams, who everybody was saying could be Super Bowl favorites, Super Bowl contenders. And they went into, they stood their ground in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and beat the Rams. So, they're going to move up a little bit as well. But other than that, those are still your bottom teams in the NFL. Except I will say, I'm going to move the Chiefs down a tier. They're not going to speed and sneak in. They're flat out mid. I'm going to move them down below Minnesota Vikings just because I trust the Vikings a little bit more. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy. But, without Patrick Mahomes, this Chiefs team is just kind of sad. It's unfortunate. Sorry, Travis Kelce, you have to go out this way, but you'll be happy with Taylor Swift. And I can't believe I just mentioned Taylor Swift in my podcast. Anyway, let's move on from that. We got the Miami Dolphins. Let's do the Dolphins next year. I'm kind of picking up all the teams that are eliminated first, and then I'll do all the teams in the playoffs. And obviously, they can't sneak into the playoffs. I still like them a lot. I'm going to put them here at flat out mid. They're not terrible. And, Quinn Ewers could be the long-term solution. I'm not quite sure. I think we will do a quarterback tier list at the end of the season, so I'll talk a little bit more about Quinn Ewers then. But they'll be at flat out mid. I'm not trying to talk a lot about these teams that aren't making the playoffs. They're all eliminated, and it's just sad. The Detroit Lions. Can I even put them ahead of the Vikings? And I think I can. They have a really good roster. It's unfortunate that they lost, and so they're going to be still in the flat out mid category here. And I think I'm actually going to end up putting the Falcons down a spot here, down a tier here, just because so it evens things out a little bit. But still, tons of respect to them for being the Rams. I put them all ahead of all of these other bad teams. So it's like you're still not the worst of the worst. You're like the best of the worst in a way. I'm trying to think of the Colts. Colts are also eliminated, so they're mid, and they have fallen. I'm gonna put them below here. Dude, it's sad. They could have stayed alive, but it's just unfortunate how Daniel Jones just season-ending Achilles injury, and that's just when things all kind of fell apart. And then are all these teams still? No, not the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they're flat out mid as well. They're just completely flat out mid. They had a good offense. They just got to fix their defense up in the offseason. I'm going to be interested to see what Jerry Jones does over there in Dallas. And then there were teams all still alive. Well, so who could still sneak in? The Buccaneers could still sneak in. The Panthers could still sneak in. The Steelers currently are in the lead of the division, so they can currently sneak in as well. And then the Baltimore Ravens. So those are your 4 teams that could still sneak in. But now, really, what really matters is we're power ranking the teams that will be in the playoffs. And how strong are these guys in the playoffs? And I'm going to say the weakest team out of these teams right now are the Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry, Packers. Packers, you just are with Micah Parsons and with a healthy Jordan Love, you are a very good team. You might even be a contender. But it's unfortunate because you aren't healthy. You aren't totally healthy. Parsons is done for the season, so I just have to say I think you're a first-round exit. But hey, you could for sure surprise me and get an upset. But right now, I think you're also going to lose to the Vikings here. You're going to rest all your players, and if you lose to Max Brosmer, it's kind of sad. But anyway, Malik Willis, props to you, my man. And sorry, Packers, but yeah, you're the worst team of the playoff teams so far. Right by them, though, is going to be the LA Chargers. The Chargers, you know how much I don't really trust them. I don't really like them. I don't love Justin Herbert. I don't love Josh Allen. Those 2 white quarterbacks, I know it's kind of a little racist, but it's not racist at all because I like other white quarterbacks. Bo Nix, Brock Purdy. Yeah. But it's just something about the way Herbert plays that I just don't totally trust. I don't totally trust this team. You saw what happened against the Houston Texans, and it just wasn't pretty. I don't really trust them, but they're still going to be in the playoffs. We'll see if they can surprise me for sure. And right by them are going to be the Houston Texans, though, because, all these other teams I'm taking over the Texans, I think, in a game, even though their defense is really good. And I know this could be a very low rating for you guys if you were thinking, well, the Texans are a very good team. Well, I'm going to put them there because I think they're the 3rd worst team out of all of these other teams. I trust a lot of these other teams better, more for some reason, but it's kind of close, especially close with the Jaguars. I'll put the Jaguars right there too, and there you can say there's a almost 13-4 win team that's also down there, and it's just T-Law needs to show me. T-Law is, we were so excited for him to start playing. He showed that he could play, and then things just kind of happened. He had a mess here, but now he's starting to pick it up again, and I'm excited to see, Trevor Lawrence play in the playoffs yet again. Can he win a playoff game? We will see in the weeks to come. I'm trying to think. Are there any more just playoff teams, or are all of them at least contenders or favorites? I think these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. All right. The next 8, I'm gonna have 4 favorites and 4 contenders to even it out just a little bit. You can see how I'm trying to even this out a little bit more. And I'm actually gonna move the Chiefs down one more to just even it out as much as possible. But so my first contender here, not a favorite, but a contender, is for sure, and this might shock people, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks. I need to see Sam Darnold win or play at least a very good game on Saturday night against the San Francisco 49ers to trust that he can play in games that matter. By the way, you guys remember this? Same time last season with the Vikings, a game against Detroit to win the division for the 1 seed. What did he do? He was seeing ghosts all night. And then in the wild card round, he had to go on the road and he threw a bunch of picks as well. They lost the game. That is what I'm scared about for Sam Darnold. He needs to lock in. He needs to show I can play in the moments, and then I will give you the respect that you deserve and maybe put you as a Super Bowl favorite. But right now, you're only a Super Bowl contender. But hey, it's still pretty good. You're still in the top 8 of the team, still top 8 in the league. And also, just so you guys know, Texans are 10 and the Jaguars are 9. I actually don't quite know where I'm exactly going to put the Seahawks number-wise, but they are in the top 8 of the teams. Along with them are going to be the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to put the Chicago Bears under them just because the Bears have a more questionable defense for sure. And this is what I also kind of like about this playoffs is there are every team almost has one big flaw that can turn everything interesting. And for the Bears, it's their defense and the inexperience of Caleb Williams and Luther Burden. I just don't know how much I can trust them. They balled. They balled out against the Niners. And if Sam Darnold can do what Caleb Williams did, even if they lose, I will still respect him a little bit more. But props to Caleb Williams, props to Luther Burden, props to Ben Johnson. You guys are a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. Here we go. The next Super Bowl contender will be the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, though, unfortunately, I mean, if they could have been a Super Bowl favorite if they would have beaten the Eagles, but they didn't. And I will put them over there over those two teams just because they have Josh Allen. Josh Allen can carry this team. We know how he is. He's an MVP candidate for sure. Josh Allen's a Super Bowl contender with the Buffalo Bills. James Cook does his thing. That defense, again, is a little bit flawed, but I think they can figure it out. Sean McDermott is still a good quarterback, still a good coach. And I think we could see the Bills win a couple games in the playoffs unless they have to play, I think, the New England Patriots. And finally, our last just plain Super Bowl contender will be the Los Angeles Rams. So you now know who my 4 Super Bowl favorites are. The Rams are actually going to be the worst. The Rams are actually going to be the worst out of these 4. You lose to the Falcons. Sure, you don't have Davante Adams, and I do think this team with Davante Adams. So here, I'll put him up a spot over the Bears just because if they had Davante Adams, they are a dangerous team. But without Davante Adams, they just have Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams has been awful. Matthew Stafford did not have the best of games because I think he was forcing a lot of balls to Puka because they didn't have another receiver to throw to. They're just as flawed as almost every single other team. So they are going to be still just a Super Bowl contender, not a Super Bowl favorite for the second straight week. Yeah, okay. So now you know who my 4 Super Bowl favorites are. It's the Eagles, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the San Francisco 49ers. The least out of them are going to be the Broncos. The Broncos right now can't seem to beat a lot of bad teams by a good amount of score. You don't have to. I mean, at least you're winning, sure, but it's obviously the offense is questionable. You have Cortland Sutton as your best receiver, so having him as your best receiver is very interesting. But I still believe in Bo Nix. I'm a Bo lever. I've said that a couple times. I like Bo Nix a lot. I think he's a super humble guy. I like their defense a lot. I think they could be a scary team to play, especially in the playoffs once you get to that home field advantage in Denver at Mile High Stadium. But right now they're going to be the 4th best team according to my power rankings here, in my opinion. I'm taking these other 3 teams over the Broncos right now. And you know who I'm taking over the Broncos, but not over 2 other teams? It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles played a pretty good first half against the Buffalo Bills, and then their offense just kind of went silent. So that is what I'm kind of scared about. Their defense is really good. Their defense was locking up Josh Allen. They defended that 2-point conversion really well at the end of the game against the Bills, but it was a little too close to call. It was a little too close to call there. So again, all these teams are flawed in their each and every way. But, the Eagles are still a top 3 team. They were a top 3 team last week. They're a top 3 team today. And then there were only two. And we got two teams, two dynasties from the earlier years of the NFL with the Niners and the Patriots. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and company, Steve Young. So who's number one? Who's number two? Well, if you already know what I'm doing here, Drake, May. I like you a lot. You're young though. Stephon Diggs might not even be here because of that weird. He messed up, bro. Oh, you guys know what's going on over there. If you haven't already, just search up Stephon Diggs. He basically assaulted some people. I don't know if he's gonna play. They're trying to. I think it sounds like he'll play for the playoffs. I don't know if he'll play this week, but I'm having the Patriots go 2 and the Niners go 1, just because I believe in the Niners. I believe in the Niners until I don't believe in the Niners. I think Brock Purdy, still 2 back-to-back games with 5+ touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but then settled in really well at the end, at the start of the game. Throwing the first throw of the game was a pick 6, but he really, sure, that defense is a little shaky. But they held in. I'm going to be really interested to see them play against the Seahawks. This is a very good game. That we can not just evaluate who's going to win the NFC, but also who, evaluate how they'll play in these clutch games. I think we saw an idea of how the Niners will play in these clutch games, rely on their offense, but maybe can their defense step it up with Robert Saleh? He's still a good coach. He's still a good assistant coach. He may not just be a head coach anymore, but he's still a good assistant coach, defensive coordinator. Give me the Niners, and those are going to wrap up my Week 18 power rankings. I think eventually we will compare my Week 1 power rankings to Week 18 or end of the season power rankings. I feel like it's going to be really interesting to see how I have them. But as I do always to end the episode, I will read them off, numbers 1 through 32. Here in the NFL, according to my Week 18 power rankings. So here they are. At number 1, it's the Niners. Number 2 are the Patriots. Number 3 are the Eagles. Number 4 are the Broncos. Number 5 are the Bills. Number 6 are the Seahawks. Number 7 are the Rams. Number 8 are the Bears. Number 9 are the Jaguars. Number 10 are the Houston Texans. 11 are the Chargers. 12 are the Packers. 13 Panthers. 14 Steelers. 15 Ravens. 16 Buccaneers. 17 Lions. 18 Cowboys, 19 Dolphins, 20 Bengals, 21 Colts, 22 Vikings, 23 Chiefs, 24 Falcons, 25 Cardinals, 26 Saints, 27 Commanders, 28 Browns, 29 Giants, 30 are the Titans, 31 are the Jets, and 32 are the Las Vegas Raiders. There are my Week 18 power rankings. Let me know if you agree or disagree with them. And that's going to do it for today's episode, our last episode of 2025. It's our season 1 finale here of Inside the Zone with Mateo. I hope you guys have enjoyed season 1. Season 2 will start back tomorrow with our 2026 prediction show. That's going to be super fun to kick off season 2, where I'll give you predictions for all the the Super Bowl, for the World Series next year, for the Stanley Cup Final, for the NBA Finals. I'll give you predictions for MVPs and so much more. All the 2026 prediction sports show to kick off season 2 is coming up tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited for that. It's going to be fun. Coming up also later this week, we'll take a look at who's still out there in free agency. We'll probably in MLB free agency. It will probably be a shorter 15 to 20 minute episode. Obviously, next Thursday will be our NFL weekly show. It will be the wild card round. More. We got a Kingdom Competitors episode coming out probably Sunday. I think we're doing Alex Anzalone of the Detroit Lions, where we take a look at his testimony and just, what he has to say about his faith, what we can learn from that. It's super fun. And also, my first Madden video in a while. I did one a couple months ago, and then I took a break from some 2K videos. It's just, and you guys wanted it. So starting now in January, I will be doing one gaming rebuild a week or every other week or so, with you guys voting on which game it is. So the poll basically will be in my YouTube post. So hey, if you guys haven't seen these already, make sure you guys check out these posts. So here is the post. Let me show you. Oh, now it's at 52%. Yay. Let's go. Okay. I mean, I already started filming, so it's not gonna affect anything, but I just wanted to show you guys here that I will post it again. Probably, I think Friday I'll post the next. I'll post the next poll. It will be pretty much the same. It's just not gonna have the pictures here, but here is the post. So it says, "I'm thinking of doing sports rebuild video in one of the following. Vote which game you want me to do. Note I might not have the updated rosters, updated games, but I have all the updated rosters and ratings. of all the games. So you could vote for any of these, and you could see that the Madden rebuild is now the most, like, they want that the most. I'll have the next one coming up soon. So go ahead and vote on there. I'm doing a Browns rebuild coming out on Saturday. This will be January 3rd. So go ahead and, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 100 subscribers. It's in reach. It is for sure in reach. I'm trying to grow my channel, trying to, just grow this thing. And if you guys like this content, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, help me grow my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. And, don't forget to keep God first, because He is the most important thing in your lives. This is all for today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.